Good morning, brothers and sisters in America and all over the world. Welcome to our morning devotion today. And to start off our day, let us offer a bow to our heavenly parents and true parents. 천지인 참부모님께 경배. Hello. And now for our family pledge, I'd like to invite Reverend Mohan.
가정맹세 1. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 번향 땅을 찾아 번연의 창조의 상인 지상 천국과 천상 천국을 창건할 것을 맹세하나이다. 2. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님을 모시어 천주의 대표적 가정이 되며 중심적 가정이 되어 가정에서는 효자, 국가에서는 충신, 세계에서는 성인, 천주에서는 성자의 가정의 도리를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 3. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과 황족권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 4. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 창조의 상인 천주대 가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 5. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 매일 주체적 천상세계와 대상적 지상세계의 통일을 향해 전진적 발전을 촉진화할 것을 맹세하나이다. 6. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님의 대신 가정으로서 천운을 움직이는 가정이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 7. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 번연의 혈통과 연결된 위하는 생활을 통하여 심정문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다. 8. 천혜의국 주인 우리 가정은 참사랑을 중심하고 천혜의국 시대를 맞이하여 절대신앙, 절대사랑, 절대복종으로 신인의 일체 이상을 이루어 지상천국과 천상천국의 해방권과 석방권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Thank you, Reverend Milhan. And now for our opening prayer, I'd like to invite Uncle Ted Forbath. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, Heavenly Parent, true parents of heaven and earth and all humankind. Heavenly parents, we are here. We're so grateful for your God's heart education. How in the course of human history, how many people, how often have we talked about God's heart in the course of human history? And here we are gathered here. Father, may our prayers, our words, our efforts, everything be multiplied to your glory, to Heavenly Parent and true parents' glory. May we unite with True Mother today and evermore. Heavenly Parents, thank you. We offer our heart, our soul, every ounce of our being to your will. Father, thank you for teaching us about filial sons and daughters. Thank you for showing us the role of this nation in supporting the world, not living for its sake of itself. Heavenly Parents, we prepare for True Mother coming to America here in early December. Heavenly Parents, we're so grateful today. May we be bound in heart and mind together as one body centered on you. Please speak through Dr. Young today to us, Father. We're so grateful. Thank you for this morning. We pray this in the name of Forbath family, Central Best family name. Aju.
Aju, thank you so much, Mr. Ted Forbath. 감사합니다. 수고하셨습니다.
Thank you, Uncle Ted, for that wonderful opening prayer. And now it is time to go into our breakout rooms for our gratitude. So please let us go there, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sharing in your breakouts. It's such a great way to always start with gratitude every single morning. And now for our first sharing, I'd like to invite Uncle Jean-Pierre to share his reflection or gratitude for this morning.
Well, okay. Thank you so much, Diane. Good morning, Dr. Young. Good morning, brothers and sisters.
Good morning, Pierre Jean.
Yes, thank you. Good to see you.
Mm.
Yes, my gratitude this morning, I began by really thanking Heavenly Parents, our Creator, and the fact that He chose us really to be His counterpart, that means object partners. It's just an amazing position that we have in the entire world. So God could have chosen really to bring another being really to play that role, but the human being really, He elevated us really to that level. We take it for granted for being alive on the physical body, but we don't know truly what does that mean. To God is so precious. It's very, very precious. So we need to live understanding that preciousness and the value that He has given to us. Also to our true parents coming pioneering this road. I think it took them really life and death really to bring us really to the level where we are right now, and even the understanding of who we are. And really want really to be grateful to True Mother, who is now taking that responsibility. But also I want really to be grateful to us, Dr. Young. Dr. Young, you are an amazing man. So we've been looking forward really to seeing a leader or a son or a daughter of God who can put in practice what true parents have given to us. So your investment is so important for us to change also our life course. Maybe sometimes we thought that, okay, we could not be like true parents. We could not really embody God and His heart. But when we see you, everything becomes possible. Everything, we see that, okay, yes, we can make it as well. So our investment really is truly to follow the same footstep, because you follow the same footstep as our true parents. And we thank Dr. Johan Lee, who educated you. And to finally say that yesterday, Dr. Young, you accepted my friendship in Facebook. So that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jean-Pierre.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say many people, about connect to my Facebook. But for me, I seldom open Facebook. Now, I do not know how to function of the Facebook. So sorry, sometimes accidentally click and then become friend. I don't know, but anyway, thank you so much. Your absolute faith and beautiful faith toward God. 감사합니다. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Uncle Jean-Pierre, for sharing, and for Dr. Young for accepting his request. And now for our next sharing, I'd like to invite Junko Osberg to share her gratitudes.
Okay.
준거짱!
Hi. So yesterday, Dr. Rouse was here in Memphis, Tennessee. And I'm a part of ACLC Trinity here in Memphis. And so I really wanted to build a strong relationship. The connection in heart with him. But it's hard. He's not here. So it's hard, physically. So it's hard to build that artistic connection. So I've been praying for him every day. So when he came, I felt like, Dr. Rose, happy to see him. And I felt I really need to focus on him, his heart, and what he really wanted to do, what his focus is there, what his hope for Memphis. And so I really focused and I'm listening. And start out, the summit was little with a few pastors. So I felt so bad, and we couldn't prepare enough pastors for Dr. Rouse. But then I think because we focused on his heart and then artistic connection, I think, with him, and I think the result came out to be good. And and then thanks to Dr. Rouse' visit and his effort, and also Dr. Yon's guidance to focus on artistic relationship and prayer importance. And so I was so happy, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Junko. I miss your daughter. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Junko-san, for sharing your gratitudes for this morning. And now it is time to go into our internal guidance. So please let us open our hearts and receive Dr. Chung-Shik Young.
안녕하세요. Good morning. Good morning. My dear brothers and sisters, clergy and ambassador for peace. 안녕하십니까? Yesterday, we had a breakfast meeting with the interfaith leaders at the Salt Lake Family Church. Even though not so many people turn up, but we had a very beautiful gathering. And it was a good photo, the James, this guy is from Native America. He had such a good heart. I really impressed by him. Then we gather at the holy ground and pray together. It was a good photo. And then we visit the Mormon headquarters building in Salt Lake City. I can see, wow, the wall headquarters. That is a Mormon churches. I learned some things from there. They have more than 50,000 young missionary from all over the world. And then they are raising up the young missionaries so well, 17, 18. Something also very similarity. They really encourage the young people to marry early, very, very early. I think many of them, marry, during teenage, and they have a very clear role. And I think their moral standard is very, very high. I think we really can learn something from Mormon. That's why when I see even Mormon church have 50,000 missionaries from all over the world, I really have a strong desire. How can we really send more than 50,000 missionaries to all over the world? Then America surely become center of the world. Center of the world. And then they are raising up the young missionaries through the mainly also the service project. Wow, when I hear their service project, they relate to any organization together. I think we really need to learn about their service project, how to touch young people's original heart and mind. And this Utah area, I think, 70%, 80% of the population relate to this Mormon religion. They are very powerful system, very clear system. They care each other. And then the city is very, very clean, and really everywhere go, and very much warming spirit. Wow. How come about us? We have God, we have true parents, we have a divine principle, we have a blessing, we have everything. Yeah, that's why we really need to reflect on ourselves, clear system, and how to function very well. And then also even they do not know divine principle, but they're creating that kind of a warm culture, hot culture. I think God already showed us some kind of model to follow. I think they already showed that kind of the model. I think if we really have that kind of 정성 and heart, I think we easily can catch up already got show from Keynes Foundation. That's why I feel I have really hope, and then America's role, North America's role is how much important it is. And then we had a meeting with the members at the Salt Lake Family Church after lunch. And then most of them are second generation. I think also many Korean family there. And I had a beautiful time with them. And it was a good photo. And today I would like to speak with the title, The World's Parliamentarians Share One Heart from Contents of True Mother's Memoir. Ebony Honey, please.
Our final 2016 rally took place in Washington, D.C. The choice of venue for this IAPP conference, which was the culmination of all previous efforts, was very important. In the end, members of the United States Senate offered the Kennedy Caucus Room, one of the Senate's most prestigious and historic rooms, as the event location. I was told by the Senate sponsors there are many rooms available for the launching ceremony. However, in view of this meeting's importance to us, we will prepare the Kennedy Caucus Room. The Kennedy Caucus Room is where John F. Kennedy declared his presidential candidacy in 1960. The Senate voted in 2009 to name the room in honor of the three Kennedy brothers. The room has seen numerous meetings on matters of great significance in the United States and world history. It was a most fitting venue for the momentous launching in North America of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace. On November 30, 2016, while a winter rain drizzled outside, the venue was filled with more than 300 U.S. and foreign parliamentarians from 56 nations. Many participants had already met one another at previous IAPP events, and they happily embraced their colleagues from neighboring countries. The mood in this splendid venue was one of great joy and hope as people from nations large and small expressed their pleasure at participating in a global event for peace. The words of Honorable Jabal Bangana, representing the President of the National Assembly of Benin, touched people's hearts. When I was young, I learned Father and Mother Moon's principles of peace, and today I continue to practice their peace philosophy. Many people expressed to me their gratitude for having introduced a new path toward peace. Republican U.S. Senator and Senate President pro tempore Orrin Hatch, who assisted with and attended the inauguration, is a longtime friend. After I delivered my keynote address, he took the podium and kindly mentioned his appreciation for our unchanging movement for peace. Senator Hatch, who served in the United States Senate from 1977 until 2019, has always offered strong support for our work. Senator Edward Markey, representing the Democratic Party, expressed his gratitude for our contributions toward environmental preservation and promised to support us. With the conclusion of this final launch in Washington, D.C., my course to inaugurate IAPP worldwide came to a close. For a year and more, I had traveled the globe, going to 6 continents to convene these events. More than 20,000 people, including 2,500 incumbent parliamentarians from 190 nations, had attended, making this initiative a great success. Each IAPP regional inauguration marked a historic first for parliamentarians from so many nations to gather in one place. These men and women put aside differences of nationality, race, and religious persuasion, and any sense of being from enemy nations. Spending several days in each other's company, they would always begin with the important question, what can we do now for the sake of peace?
Thank you, Heavenly Honey. Next, let's study some of the words of true mother of the establishment of IAPP in the United States in Washington, D.C. in 2016. Heavenly Honey?
Founders Address, Dr. Hakshahan Moon for USA launch of the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, November 30th, 2016, Washington, D.C., USA. Whether we are the mayor of a small town, the pastor of a small church, or the president of a nation, or the secretary general of the UN, this is our eternal responsibility. This is the responsibility of each parliamentarian gathered here. In the year 2000, my husband and I spoke at the United Nations in New York, calling on the United Nations and the member states to consider an innovative proposal, namely, that the United Nations build within its system an interfaith council consisting of religious, spiritual, and moral leaders who could advise, collaborate, and deliberate with the representatives of the member states. Such a council could serve as the voice of universal values and principles. The UN emerged in the World War II era, more than 70 years ago, whereas there are UN headquarters offices in New York, Geneva, Vienna, and Nairobi. There is no such office in Asia, even though we are living increasingly in an Asian Pacific age. In many ways, the geopolitical, economic, and social center of gravity of our world is shifting toward Asia. With this in mind, UPF and other affiliated organizations of our movement are advocating for consideration of a fifth United Nations office to be established in Korea. I hope you will reflect on this proposal. I believe a fifth UN office on the Korean Peninsula, perhaps in the DMZ, with support of both Koreas, would go a long way toward establishing peace on this peninsula and toward peace in the Asia-Pacific region. In closing, I want to emphasize the importance of the role of parliamentarians. You represent the people. You are entrusted by the people with a great responsibility. If parliamentarians of the world join together in harmony and cooperation for the sake of peace, we can transform the current reality of our world, creating a world of joy, harmony, and lasting peace. With this in mind, I encourage you on this day to form the International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, centered on the principle of living for the sake of others and centered on God, our Heavenly Parent. You are the representatives of the 7 billion people of the world. If you join together in this way, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. Let us work together to build a world of lasting peace. Thank you for allowing me to share these words with you today. May God bless each one of you, your family, and your nation.
Thank you, Heavenly Honey. Dear brothers and sisters, one of true parents' wishes is that a fifth United Nations office be established in Korea, our fatherland. We ask for your prayers and devotion to make this goal come true. I think how wonderful it would be if the United States could play a, decisive role in the helping to achieve this goal as the country of elder son. Thank you. And then Living Divine Principle today, new topic, human fall and ignorance. Please.
Human fall and ignorance. Considered from the viewpoint of the intellect, the human fall represents humanity's descent into ignorance. People are composed of two aspects, internal and external, or mind and body. Likewise, the intellect consists of two aspects, internal and external. In the same way, there are two types of ignorance, internal ignorance and external ignorance. Internal ignorance, in religious terms, is spiritual ignorance. It is ignorance of such questions as, what is the origin of human beings? What is the purpose of life? What happens after death? Do God and the next world exist? What is the nature of good and evil? External ignorance refers to ignorance of the natural world, including the human body. It is ignorance of such issues as, what is the origin of the physical universe? What are the natural laws governing all phenomena? From the dawn of history until today, human beings have ceaselessly searched for the truth with which to overcome both types of ignorance and attain knowledge. Humanity through religion has followed the path of searching for internal truth, and through science has followed the path of seeking external truth. Religion and science, each in its own sphere, have been the methods of searching for truth in order to conquer ignorance and attain knowledge. Eventually, the way of religion and the way of science should be integrated and their problems resolved in one united undertaking. The two aspects of truth, internal and external, should develop in full consonance. Only then, completely liberated from ignorance and living solely in goodness in accord with the desires of the original mind, will we enjoy eternal happiness.
Thank you, Heavenly Honey. Talking about exploring human and truth. According to divine principle, religion came to search for internal truth to overcome internal ignorance. Then how to overcome internal ignorance? Religion must be unified through interreligious activities centered on divine principle. That is the reason True Mother founded IAPD, Interreligious Association for Peace and Development. So true parents continue to conduct interreligious blessing ceremony activities as well. And then they become a Muslim blessed family, Buddhist blessed family, Christian blessed family, Confucian blessed family, etc. By receiving the blessing, all of them become direct lineage of God, because blessing is a salvation. That's why blessing is everything. Why Asia, we do not emphasize much, ask them to change their religion to become unificationist. Because God's final salvation is what? Blessing. Blessing. Anyone receive the blessing, change the blood lineage. And then change the blood lineage, and then everybody become God's sons and daughters, centering on God's eternal life, God's eternal true love, God's eternal blood lineage, we become same brothers and sisters. Okay, Muslim group, you should become Muslim blessed family after receiving blessing. You are Buddhism, you need to become Buddhist blessed family. You are Christian, you have to be Christian blessed family. You are Confucianism, then you need to become Confucian blessed family. Wow, blessing is so powerful, so much embracing. You know, when anyone go to spiritual war, does not matter what kind of religion you have, since you receive the blessing, how much you really become a true man or true woman of God. You know, that is the issue, based on blessing. Blessing, my brothers and sisters. That's why any different kind of religion, when they receive the blessing, we need to really let them have the experience of the rebirth through external way and internal way. Through external way, let them drink holy wine. And what's the internal rebirth? Everybody, without exception, let them go through the process of the 40-day separation and 3-day ceremony. Just only drink holy wine, that is just only external ceremony. It's very much different. That's why we need to give a complete blessing. I really thank Dr. Rouse and all ACLC, YCS leadership. We are now very much focused on the 43-day condition. Let them fulfill internally and internally the experience of the blessing through rebirth. Secondly, exploring about the human truths, external way, you know, how to, science came to search for external truths to overcome external ignorance. How to overcome external ignorance. Then what we have done in order to overcome external truth, external ignorance. True parents have hosted the Unity of the Science conference so many times for unify the world of science. And then our true parents advocated unified science, still going on. That's why difficult to deny that our true parents are really the Messiah of all mankind. He suggested how to overcome internal ignorance and also how to overcome external ignorance. So religion is like centering on our mind and heart, and the science is centering on our physical body. So to establish an ideal world, religion and science should be united together. Otherwise, it is impossible to build ideal kingdom of heaven on the earth. And then also today I'd like to talk about there can be no perfection in ignorance. I think many times hear this word from true parents. There can be no perfection in ignorance. There is no perfection without knowing the principle, right? We do not know divine principle. How can we become perfect? That's why we need to know divine principle. Father said, confidence comes from knowing the divine principle very clearly. Why you cannot have confidence? Because you do not know divine principle. When you know divine principle very, very clear, Father said, you have absolute confidence. If you don't know true parents, you do not know principle. Do you think true parents are more important or divine principle, which is eternal truth, is important? Which one is important? Many people say eternal truth is more important than true parents. I think that is a wrong answer. Who true parents are. True parents are substance of divine principle. The word become flesh. You know, word not only remain as the word. That's why true parents show the model. That's why without knowing true parents, we cannot become perfect beings. If you do not know true parents, you cannot make Satan surrender. Why? Because true parents, they are the one who show the model, formula course. And now I visiting to stay every day. Yesterday we completed 45th state Holy Ground tour. Why? True parents show the model. He set up the Holy Ground first, which is a restoration of environment. Secondly, how he did? He did continuously another tour, speaking tour. Second is speaking tour, continuously, to restore people. That's why after I completing 50 state tour, I'm ready to organize leadership summit and really raising up young people through Caucus. When we follow true parents' footsteps, then we can make Satan surrender. Nobody show us how to make Satan surrender. Only true parents are the model. Nobody showed this kind of a model. Why we cannot make success? Because you use your own style. Why you cannot make your ministry successful? Because you are doing by your own style. You cannot expand. Definitely you feel limitation. Only true parents are our key. They are the one who only show the substantial model and then, show that kind of footstep. If you do not know God, there is no perfection of heart. If you do not know the spiritual world, you do not know eternal life. That's why you need to know spiritual world. If young people, they know spiritual world does exist. If they know the structure of the spiritual world, nobody commits sin. Why they commit the sin? Because they do not know spiritual world. That's why true parents saying that there can be no perfection in ignorance. If you do not know Satan, there is no mind and body unity. Because who disturb us? Who control our physical body? Our evil mind, our sinful desire, always control our physical body. So, who is really control in behind our physical body? That is Satan. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, you can be invincible. Do you understand? Invincible? Very important word. You can be invincible. You can overcome anything. You can gain the victory if you know the enemy and yourself. If you just know yourself, you do not know enemy. That's why Korean people say 백전 백승. If you know the strategy of enemy, and then you know your own situation very well, your own reality, and then when you fight with Satan, with your enemy, fight with your enemy 100 times, you can win 100 times. Korean people say 백전 백승. Another meaning here, you can be invincible if you know the enemy and yourself. Why we are controlled by Satan all the time? Because we do not know the Satan's identity. If you do not know the indemnity, there is no completion of restoration. Wow, my life is like that. How come I was born from such a miserable family? Why I become disabled? My children, why become disabled child? Why this kind of accident happened to me, my family, my wife? Why? If you do not know the indemnity, there is no completion of restoration. That's why we need to know divine principle through parents and heavenly parents, spiritual world, our enemy Satan. We need to know the meaning of indemnity. And then also, this is also very, very important guidance, my brothers and sisters. Then, what is the ignorance of ignorance? We are talking about ignorance. How to overcome ignorance. You know, to overcome ignorance. And then you need to know that what the three greatest ignorance of ignorance. First one, ignorance of God. This is the greatest ignorance. Ignorance of God being our parents. Oh, as a child, you do not know God is my father. God is my mother. God is my parents. This, can you imagine about that? We came to understand my parents does exist. When we understand I came from my parents, from God, and came to understand He is my father. He loves me most. He always responsible for me. He always worry about me. He always show very clear vision and blueprint and plan for me. However, I do not know as a child who is my father and mother. This is the greatest ignorance. And then we do not know ignorance of God's 심정. We do not know God's 심정, God's heart. Ignorance of God's sorrow, pain, circumstances, and wishes. We do not know what is his situation. He is sad or happy. Is sorrow or what? He's painful or joyful or what kind of circumstance? He has wish, he has dream or not? We do not know anything about. Just only believe in him. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Almighty God, powerful God, you can do anything. Nothing dealing with his heart and my heart. How many of religion, they really understand God's dream? How many of religion really understand God's sorrow, God's painful heart and 심정, God's circumstance, God's tears? This is the greatest ignorance, my brothers and sisters. Because of the fall. Fall is really horrible, isn't it? Really horrible. We have tried to deny God. Yeah? We want to kick God out. Secondly, was the greatest ignorance? Ignorance of Satan. Ignorance of Satan's identity. Ignorance of the sins Satan committed. Do you know how much terrible Satan? He's the one who killed God's heart. He's the one who abused human ancestors, sexually abused. He was the servant. He's stealing God's property. And then he committed sexual sin, and then all mankind gaining false life, false lineage, false love. We do not know, because Satan is invisible, God is invisible. We do not know. Satan really does exist. We do not know Satan is the devil, the ruler who controls the world. I have inherited the blood lineage of devil. We do not know. This ignorance. But thank God, thank true parents, because of true parents, we know who is Satan. We know Satan's identity. We know God is our creator. He is our parents. And then third, my brothers, what do you think was the third greatest ignorance? What do you think? Ignorance of life. We do not know what the purpose of our life. The world after death. What is the good and evil? We do not know anything. Do not know about me. Why I was born on the earth. What is my real purpose? Everybody, different concept, different idea, different direction. Wow. This is the reality. This is the reality, my brothers and sisters. After human fall, that's why heavenly parents send the Messiah in order to overcome ignorance. Therefore, even true parents mentioned many times in 천성경, true parents are 8 great champions. So I'm sorry to say that I try to add 2 more, number 9 and 10. This is from my additional, not from true parents, just my suggestion, just to let you know. First one, true parents are the champion of knowing God. True parents are the champion of knowing the essence of evil. True parents are the champion of knowing humankind. True parents are the champion of knowing the spiritual world. True parents are the champion of knowing Jesus. True parents are the champion of knowing the Holy Scripture, which is the Bible. True parents are the champion of knowing the root of the history, religions, philosophy, and ideology. True parents are the champion of ideal family. True parents are the first champions to, this one I added, very important. True parents are the first champion to win the cosmic indemnity cause. Without paying indemnity, how can we win over Satan? How can he give me the blessing to everybody? Number 10, true parents are the champions who actually built 천일국. Yeah, my brothers and sisters. Let's study more about the true fathers.
Providential history was prolonged because humankind was ignorant. There was never a time when biblical history was prolonged because God made an error or God was ignorant. Consequently, providential history was prolonged because humankind was ignorant. This was the case for Cain, Noah, Abraham, then Jacob, Moses, and John the Baptist. Everyone was ignorant.
Yeah. My brothers and sisters, this word is very powerful. If I am ignorant, God's providence centered on me prolongs and misses time. When you are a teenager, you have to know God's will and fulfill your responsibilities. If you do not know God's will in your teens, the providence will be extended to your 20th and your 30th. A parent's responsibility is to help their children fulfill their responsibilities on time. If they do not know that their responsibility as a blessed family, the providence is extended and passed on to their descendants by 2 or 3 or 4 generations. To overcome ignorance, what should we do? Very important. Then how to overcome this kind of ignorance? You must know the principles very well. And you need to know where God's will is, what God's wishes are, what God's plan and blueprint and dreams are for you. To do this, we must always pray and dedicate 정성 ourselves to hearing God's voice and putting it into practice. That's why every morning, wake up earlier than sun, then kneel down and pray, hearing God's voice. Then you know what to do today. You never fail. Your providence centering on God never delay. Therefore, if you do not fail in your daily routine, you must feel and know God's plan for you today through prayer and devotion. God has a detailed plan for me day by day. Sometimes through prayer, sometimes through the word, sometimes through the dreams. Make a plan centering on God each day. A day without a plan is taken away by Satan. Just wasting time. Satan's strategy is what? To steal and waste your time. This is Satan's strategy. Without plan, just so you do something, just waste your time. You are not clear this is God's idea or not, but you can make the plan centering on you and then really put your effort to connect to God's will. Then God correct you. At least you make the plan and then discuss with God. God has already laid a foundation for 95% of environment for me. God has 95% portion of responsibility. I have a 5% portion of responsibility. That means what? God has already laid a foundation for 95% of environment for me. Of course, sharing my 5% responsibility is difficult, but knowing that God has prepared 95% for me, the cross I am carrying is nothing. Know that my cross is nothing when think of those who carry a greater cross than me. My brothers and sisters, furthermore, in order to advance the providence of the country, to run our nation, our continent, as a leader, you must receive heavenly fortune and great spiritual fortune. You cannot change your nation by just only one person's power or strategy. It is for the whole entire North American family to become one wholeheartedly and internally. God is walking through that kind of unity. Entire nation of America and Canada walk together and pray together from early morning devotion. When Heavenly Father look at the entire nation of America and Canada and then have that same kind of the goal and same kind of the vision together, 정성 together, then we cannot imagine incredible heavenly fortune will come down. You cannot do anything by your individual own power. That's why unity is important. The purpose of the morning devotion is because it requires a heavenly fortune to move a country or continent. Okay? Could you read?
Yes. No one knows they are committing historical sins because of ignorance. There is the path people find and the path where God finds a human. When I came to understand is that it is hundreds and thousands of times harder for God to enter the human world and find a path than for humans to find God. After knowing this, I cannot pray. I couldn't pray. I could not pray, God, please help us. Do you know what kind of mind this is? No matter if I face death, I don't complain. I prayed. I have no fear, no worry. Thinking of this, the main point I'm talking about today is God's efforts and human ignorance. You have to know how many times God is driven out, even after making God go through millions of hardships when humans become ignorant. Do you understand what I am saying?
Thank you, Heavenly Honey. Because of time limit already, time's up, so I can explain more tomorrow. Very, very important also this content. Today we learn what is a human's ignorance. Ignorance. That's why I think we really clearly understand divine principle. We clearly understand true parents' word. Otherwise, how can we overcome our ignorance? Thank you very much, my dear brothers and sisters. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Dr. Young, for today's guidance, especially on ignorance, really teaching us that, with ignorance, we can't really move forward, especially when it comes to the providence, and we can unite with true parents also if we're just ignorant of our, within our own mind. So thank you for your guidance today. And now, brothers and sisters, we received a lot of content today, but let us really go into our breakout rooms and share with each other what our reflections are for today. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for taking this time in the morning to really share your reflections with each other, especially with this really deep content that we received today. And now for our first reflection, I'd like to invite Uncle Eric and Aunt Irina to share their reflection for this morning. Please unmute yourselves.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Young. Yes, today my takeaway, like I was saying, Diana, during the breakout room is, before I joined the church, in my teenage, I was struggling a lot because I used to wonder, I used to ask myself so many questions and I couldn't get the answer of those questions. And because around me, people used to say all the time that God is good all the time. But I couldn't understand why, people were suffering all around me. But those same people used to say that God is good. So until, I met the church and then, I start understanding really why, people are living the way they are living. And this is what because of ignorance. But the worst of the ignorance is not because you don't know. It is when you think that you know, but you really don't know. That's the worst of ignorance. And joining the church now really helped me because of True Parents devotion, because of what True Parents have done to discover the principle. Now they brought light into us. Now I could understand more deeply, why God, the portion of responsibility of God and our own portion of responsibility. Why God couldn't intervene into our portion of responsibility. And that really helped me to understand more God and to really improve my faith. But this was just the first step. Now with what True Parents are bringing out to us, helping us to understand really more deeply the divine principle really helped me more and improve my faith every single day. And I'm so grateful because, with what we are getting from Dr. Young now in more detail, really now, every single day, I'm growing every day, and I'm so grateful. That was really my takeaway for today's, devotion.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, about Orina.
Yes, and thank you so much, Dr. Young, for this message of today, especially the point of ignorance. Even though we know True Parents, even though I tend to say I know the divine principle, but in depth, I still feel I'm still ignorant because it is broad, really, because if I say I know intellectually or I know from heart. And even though I say I know True Parents, I know our Heavenly Parent, but do I know seriously their artistic situation? To me, that is really the knowing. But simply saying I know, I still feel I'm deeply ignorant. So I'm really checking myself to really feel how deeply I have the knowledge of knowing even Satan's ways. Because I can't really say I'm confident I know Satan's ways. No, I am still ignorant. So I'm really, really thinking seriously how much I know our Heavenly Parent, how much I really know and understand True Parents' words. So that's my takeaway.
Wow, you are such a beautiful reflection. Thank you so much, Eric and Orina.
Thank you so much, Uncle Eric and Aunt Irina, for sharing your reflection with us this morning. And now for our next reflection, I'd like to invite Natasha Phillips to share with us this morning.
Thanks, Diane. This is a surprise. I wasn't in your breakout room. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I shared in my group that I was especially struck by the message of the ignorance of ignorance, and how the most important point is actually the ignorance of God, and that's really why humankind is so going the wrong direction. If people really understood who God is, and if they knew God is our parent, then everything else will come, that people will get the blessing, people will follow True Parents. Like, if you really understand who God is, I think that's the key ignorance that we need to overcome in this world. And the other point that I thought about while listening to this message this morning was that, even when we know or we overcome our ignorance, we know the truth, that is not enough. We still need to challenge ourselves to overcome our fallen nature, because let's say we know what's the right thing to do, like all of us here, we know who God is, we know who Satan is, but then we still make mistakes, right? We still give into temptations, or we want to take the easy way, or it's like that there's still part of us that is holding us back. So I think in addition to overcoming ignorance, we have to overcome our fallen nature. So that's my reflection. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Nata Sucha, your baby, so cute. How many months?
She's 7 months old now.
Wow, so cute. Thank you. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Natasha, for sharing. And it was great to see you again. And your baby, as always. And now, brothers and sisters, as a reminder, always want to remind everyone to join every single day, because this is the kind of atmosphere where we can receive not only education, but also just, really connect with brothers and sisters all over the world and get to know each other and share with each other as well. And for our offering, we also have the link in the chat where you can joyfully give from your heart. And we also have it on Facebook. And now for our musical offering, I believe we have Uncle Greg Smith, who will be sharing with us. So please unmute yourself.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I especially wanted to wait until November before I gave another one because of the song that I had planned. November to me is a month of gratitude. Not only is Thanksgiving the one holiday that we have that really expresses our gratitude to God and to the gifts that he gives us, but November is also the month of my wife's birthday, my daughter's birthday, and my birthday. We're all in the same month. I am very grateful that I have those two people in my life and that I'm here to be able to enjoy it. So the song I'm going to offer is probably the most famous hymn associated with this month and with the holiday of Thanksgiving. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He chastens and hastens his will to make known. The wicked oppressing now cease from distressing. Sing praises to his name, he forgets not his own. Beside us to guide us, our Lord with us joining, ordaining, maintaining his kingdom divine. So from the beginning, the fight we were winning. Thou, Lord, wast at our side, all glory be thine. We all do extol thee, our leader triumphant, and pray that thou still our defender will be. Let thy congregation escape tribulation. Thy name be ever praised, O Lord, make us free. Thy name be ever praised, O Lord, make us free. Thank you, Dr. Young.
Wow, beautiful, Greg Smith. So you love the November, your birthday, your wife's birthday. I also love the number 11 because Joseph was 11th son. Yeah, and then the number 11 is very powerful number. God bless you this month. Thank you so much, Greg Smith. 감사합니다 for beautiful offering music.
Yes, thank you, Uncle Greg, for sharing with us this morning. That was short, but it felt really, I could really feel in my heart with the music being very harmonized and everything. So thank you for sharing with us. And for our closing prayer, I'd like to invite Kenji-san from Queens, New York, to close in prayer.
Okay. Do me a prayer. Dear parents and true parents, we really appreciate you gathering all the brothers and sisters over the Zoom and over the Facebook Live and many other ways. This special calling is really helping to restore centering on this North American continent, and also connecting the brothers and sisters in living, working in entire world. Through mothers really putting really very best focus to restore and build the substantial restoration for all nations. This is a really essential moment, and we see many results is really appearing in front of our eyes, such as national levels and many even Christian churches. Leaders are opening their eye to true parents. We really thankful for the brothers and sisters who are visiting day by day, week by week, and also connecting our brothers and sisters and cultivating our heart, getting more closer, open that heart to God who are suffering for so long, and we really need to restore, and we need to really heal God's heart. And also the people who are suffering every single day, lost the way and lost the truth, and don't know where its world is going. There is a we really have to, our mission is really tell them, the hope is here, the Messiah is here, only begotten daughter of God is here. Please help us to educate, continuously educate, and also lead action, and also encourage each others. Thank you again. Thank you. We really want to thank you, Dr. Yom. Every single day must be so difficult. We really owe to Dr. Yom's hard work and also sacrifice, him and also his families. We really want to respond by paying back by bringing that substantial result. Please continue to guide us, and also pray for our absolute good spirit to continuously support us from the spiritual world realm and bring the restoration here on the earth. Thank you, all the brothers and sisters. I often pray my name, Kenji and Taiko Walker, everything family, 아주.
네, 감사합니다, 켄지상. 거꾸로 사마데시다 아리가또 고자이마스.
Thank you, Kenji-san, for sharing with us or closing us in prayer for today's morning devotion. And with that, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining. God bless you. And we'll see you tomorrow for another morning devotion. Goodbye.
감사합니다.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Young.
Thank you very much.
Bye.